Tuesday morning, the 21st of January. This is the Gallo Radio Show on SuperTalk, Mississippi. Richard Cross, Lance with you on this Tuesday morning. Thank you for joining us. It's snowing in Houston, Texas. It's snowing in Lake Charles, Louisiana, and Lafayette, Louisiana, and New Orleans. It's snowing in Gulfport. And yesterday, Donald Trump was inaugurated for the second time as the 47th President of the United States of America. What a time to be alive, to talk about yesterday and the days to come. Senator Cindy Hyde-Smith joins us this morning. Senator, good morning to you. My guess is there was not a ton of sleep last night, maybe over the last couple of nights, but what a day yesterday in our nation's capital.
It was totally incredible. And, yes, I think I got into bed about 2:30 a.m. this morning, just a late night, but what a day. First of all, I want to say how sorry I am of the passing of Paul Gallo. If there was ever an icon in Mississippi, it was certainly Paul Gallo. And I can just remember as a newly elected state senator going on that show and being treated so fairly. And I'm just very saddened by that, and I wanted to start off with that this morning. And, yes, it has just been such a time. The inauguration of hope is what I have been calling it. And we've had so many festivities going on. Had the Liberty Ball last night, and President Trump and his entire family, the vice president, they came out, and I thought it was really neat. They danced to an Elvis Presley song.
Oh, really?
They danced to I Can't Help Falling in Love with You.
Oh, that's great.
So elegant and such an appropriate song to come out with because he is truly in love with this country. There's no doubt. But there were thousands and thousands in the ball last night. So, yes, we are having an exceptional week in Washington, D.C.
I would love for you to paint me a little bit of a picture of what it was like being in the Rotunda, seeing that with the Capitol, just everything that was going on in a very different setting, right? I mean, we are used to seeing that on the Capitol steps outside with tens of thousands of onlookers, and it's a very patriotic thing we do. It's a very inclusive thing that we do, but there was something very intimate feeling about the inauguration yesterday inside the Capitol in the Rotunda.
That is the exact word that I used, that it was an intimate setting. I had an excellent seat. I was probably 15 feet from the president and the speakers.
Wow. But
coming in, and, I was very sad that the constituents that flew up here didn't have the opportunity to witness that. But inside that Rotunda, it was such a special moment because they got over 600 people in there. And we were so packed in there close together. But how close we were, what a viewing seat that it was. And you could just feel the vibes in there, I guess is the word that I'm looking for. I sat there and watched the expression of so many. But to see, President Obama, President Clinton, President George W. Bush sitting there, and then, the President Trump's entire family in there. Mm-hmm. I've got fantastic pictures, I can assure you. And it just coming in, I was really sad because the American people didn't get to in person witness that. But it was such a special feeling of being in there to watch such a moment in history. It's hard to describe in words watching everyone come in. We had a couple of snafus. Carrie Underwood, when she went to sing America the Beautiful, her music did not come on. And so that was a few awkward moments of silence. But then, of course, she started in acapella, and everybody there sang it with her.
And don't you think that turned into a moment that is one that will be remembered? So she would have been great with music, no question. She's an amazing talent. But the way that unfolded, doesn't it turn into a more memorable moment than it could have otherwise?
Oh, yes, because we were all singing together. And there were so many moments that, we just smiled and said, boy, God's certainly in control of this. And I really think that was one of them, that we could all sing together there. And, to have everybody coming in, and, of course, swearing in J.D., our great vice president that I can call him today. And then there was a moment when we were about to swear in President Trump that Chief Justice Roberts just kind of jumped into it before the family was even gathered around. But later, my chief, Doug Davis, said, I'm sure it's because it was inching upon 12 o'clock, and we had to do it by noon. So that may have been the rush there, but it just could not have been better. President Trump's speech was awesome. He pulled no punches. He sat right there and told us everything that he intended to do, and the things that, he had just been persecuted and violated by the Department of Justice, the coming in, the privacy violated of their home. And, he just sat right there in front of those in front of Kamala Harris, in front of President Joe Biden, and, let them know how wrong things were, and was unashamedly. He just went into his promises made, promises kept, talking about the new golden age for America, and that the interest of the American people would come first now. So he ripped into him pretty good. I mean, we were sitting there saying, okay, guy. And, but, he just stated the facts. But what I took away, Richard, was just the restoration of optimism, of hope, and having confidence in this country again. And I just thought it could not be any better than it was. It was totally incredible.
Visiting with Senator Cindy Hyde-Smith. She, of course, was in the Capitol in the Rotunda. There's one more moment I want to ask you about, because I don't know if it's just because I like the song so very much, but I thought when the military choir sang the Battle Hymn of the Republic, through the television, that felt like an unbelievably moving moment. Did it feel like that there?
Absolutely, it did.
Okay.
And there were several moments like that. But, Buddy, that was one of the strongest, no doubt. It, and this may happen outside. I have been to the former inauguration, the last one. But, to see so many tears in the Rotunda, just streaming down people's faces. And even when I was talking to so many of my constituents that were at our watch party that I arranged, they said so many people were crying in there. One of the truly touching moments for me was when we were getting ready and they were just playing the music before the president came out. One of the songs that they played was Great Is Thy Faithfulness. Mm-hmm. And, just sitting there singing that song before they came out, it was just a moment of, yes, God is in control. He is still on his throne. And so many senators were singing, Great is Thy Faithfulness. So that kind of set the tone when the proceedings happened and they started bringing everybody in. But that was one of the first songs that they were playing as we were getting ready. And I really, we didn't know what the television cameras were picking up. But it was incredible, very emotional, very moving. And it was just a fantastic day.
Visiting with Senator Cindy Hyde-Smith. She's agreed to stay on for another segment. And in the next segment, we'll kind of turn to what's ahead, because the Senate's got to get to work. Congress has got to get to work. President Trump got to work yesterday right out of the gate. So we'll turn to that. But kind of a final question. We've got a minute until the break. I thought the former president, now current president again, looked very much at ease yesterday. Not that he's ever had issues looking comfortable. I mean, he is in so many ways made for television because of his comfort level. But there was something about his demeanor and the way that he carried himself yesterday. Did anything seem different to you in terms of that?
I think everybody noticed that. We actually had breakfast. We had an inaugural Senate breakfast Sunday morning, and I heard so many comments about that because he came out, he was so focused, and he could stay on point, stay on message, and just extremely calm, which, I mean, we all know Donald J. Trump. He's pretty hyper, but he came out at breakfast that morning, and then yesterday, and he said, God saved me from that bullet.
He did. He certainly did.
Definitely changed with him and his expression and the way he handled himself. There's no doubt things have changed.
Quick time out. We're back with more. Senator Cindy Hyde-Smith on the Gallo Radio Show, SuperTalk, Mississippi. Back with you, Gallo Radio Show, SuperTalk, Mississippi. Thanks for being with us on this Tuesday morning. Today is the 21st of January, one day after the inauguration of the 47th President of the United States, Donald Trump, in Washington, D.C. Cindy Hyde-Smith, Senator from the state of Mississippi, kind enough to spend a few more minutes with us this morning. And I want to thank you for what you said at the beginning of the interview. It was very kind of you to say those things about Paul. He was such a dear friend to so many of us, a unique talent, a pioneer in the radio industry. And I can't tell you how many kind comments from our listeners have come in for Paul and for his family. So, Senator, appreciate what you said just a moment ago. As we jump back in and kind of look ahead, look forward, I said President Trump got to work and the Senate had to do so now as well. Your chamber actually went back to work yesterday and passed the Lake and Riley Act, and now that goes back to the House, where I think the assumption is that'll be passed, and that will be the first bill that goes to the president's desk for signature. Are you pleased with the version that the Senate ultimately came out with?
Yes, I am, and I do think that it will pass the House. You know, it's just so indicative of that open border. And that young lady just dying at the hands of an illegal, that we really wanted to make a statement with the first bill coming out would be the Lake and Riley Act, which I'm a co-sponsor on. So, yes, I think it will pass. I think it's totally appropriate. We did vote on an amendment, and we voted on it as it was amended. And then we confirmed Marco Rubio. And, you know,
unanimously.
State. Yes, that is unheard of. A little inside baseball. Marco is a good friend. I adore him. And we were back in the cloakroom, and his vote was about to come up. And he was sitting there. We were watching it on television. He said, it's just weird to me being there when they say all these things about me. So when people were speaking on his behalf, and he looked and he said, Cindy, should I vote for myself? And I said, of course. He said, well, precedent is that the member that they're voting on would vote president. I said, Marco, that shows confidence that you believe in yourself. And so, you know, when he went out there and he did vote for himself, I was just smiling because he's such a great guy. But to get every Democrat on that floor to vote for him says so much about Marco. It really does. And, you know, it was 99-0 because J.D., of course, you know,
right,
has resigned, so we had 99 there. But that was a moment in history right there when Marco got that. But it was truly because of Marco's character.
Did it surprise you there wasn't a single dissenting vote? Did that surprise you?
Well, not at the moment, because we had talked about it so much, you know, and everybody said on the Democratic side, we have all of our votes here. There's not a vote against him. But, yes, it is unbelievable. And, you know, I think we started off on a really good foot there on the noms, but I assure you it's going to get a lot more contentious.
And quickly, right?
Oh, yeah. You know, we thought we were going to be able to get John Ratcliffe in last night as well as CIA director. But Schumer is up to his games. Tom Cotton was making the statement that I was reading earlier this morning that, they're slow walking these noms. They're coming up with, we don't have their paperwork in, but the first one out the gate was Marco Rubio because he's so admired and respected on Capitol Hill. But I assure you, the shenanigans are definitely on the way. We've got Pete coming up, Pete Hegseth coming up for defense. Tulsi Gabbard doesn't even have a hearing scheduled yet. And we just are looking at all of these. Brooke Rollins, now she's scheduled for Thursday. I think that's going to be a very easy one.
What's the holdup with Tulsi Gabbard? I mean, I've heard paperwork. I know that's the word, but what's really going on there?
Well, the Democrats are so angry at her for leaving the Democratic Party. And Tulsi and I have had the chance to sit down and visit, and we've had long discussions about this. And, she just said, they're coming after me. And that's just the way it's going to be. We have a lot of Republicans that are skeptical. But, and we're having private conversations of me talking to different folks about that. And I think, Tulsi is going to get confirmed. But after, she's raked over really well, just like Pete Hegseth was raked over really well, it's just part of this process. But I think that I really think we're going to get all the noms confirmed after much drama. I think we're going to get everybody confirmed. I think Pam Bondi is probably going to come through pretty smoothly.
Yeah.
Hopefully, Kristi Noem will. But there's several that, they're just waiting for it to happen, and that's it. And I've told a lot of these noms I knew already, that I'm friends with already. Some of them I didn't know that well, but I think that, you're going to see all of his noms confirmed. I really think that.
Visiting with Senator Cindy Hyde-Smith for just a few more minutes. I don't know if you were in the room. I know you've seen the video. Can you help us understand what Tim Kaine was doing during the Hegseth confirmation hearing and the pardon me, but the fool that he made of himself in his interrogation of Pete Hegseth?
He's just being Tim Kaine. He, they're so bitter still, and it's just a hard pill for them to swallow. So, Mazie Hirono, they're just going to come after them with sharpened knives. And,
Pete handled it. Pete handled it beautifully.
Oh, yeah. He really did. He did a great job. I think Pam Bondi did an excellent job. I know Pam well.
She did.
I was not surprised there. I knew she could handle her own. There's no doubt. But you're going to see a lot more of that. But, we got Pete out of the way. We got that hearing done. And as brutal and humiliating as it was, but the confirmation process, I've said so many times when people are, talked about doing that, I said, well, you better be ready. And I think they're really going to come after Kash. I think they're going to come after Kash Patel because they're so afraid of what he reveals. And I think that's the reason you had so many pardons passed out yesterday as President Biden was going out the door. He pardoned his entire family. Of course, he'd already pardoned Hunter. But both his brothers, his sister-in-law, his sister, a brother-in-law, and, of course, our own Congressman Benny Thompson got a pardon yesterday as well, and Liz Cheney. So, it
was like they were on Oprah. The you get a pardon and you get a pardon and you get a pardon, just handing them out like, like treats on Halloween. What did you make of President Trump with the pardon of the January 6th prisoners last night?
Well, we knew that was coming because so many people were so unfairly prosecuted. Now, there's people that broke the law that day and needed arresting. Do not get me wrong about that at all. I was one of the ones in that building that we thought we were running for our lives. but it was such an opportunity of abuse to put people in jail that had no business being in jail, and to, get records on people that were just present, outside and present.
Right.
So I wasn't surprised at that, we were expecting that to come out. But I've never heard a preemptive pardoning like that. I've never even heard of that.
Yeah.
So we were so surprised when, he was pardoning people that have not been convicted of a crime yet, but obviously had major concern that they were going to be.
Cindy Hyde-Smith, just one last question for you as we wrap up, and I appreciate so much your time this morning for joining us on the Gallo Show. We know President Trump says lots of things, and some of that is by design. There are things that he throws out there to get a reaction, to gauge the room. Are we really going to rename?
Me, I know.
Are we really going to rename the Gulf of Mexico to the Gulf of America?
I would not be surprised at all. When President Trump gets something on his mind, especially the Panama Canal, he just thinks that is so wrong. And, he says the Gulf of Mexico is ours. It should be the Gulf of America. And, we had a brief visit about that. I said, well, we're going to have to start changing all of our maps. But, yeah, he believes in that. He really does. And I would not be surprised at all if that did not happen, because he is so tenacious on things such as that. But I assure you, the Panama Canal, he is so caught up in that,
yeah.
And he's so verbal about that. He was at breakfast the other morning. And so he, as we well know, he can get things done that there's no one else on planet Earth can get things done. Just like drawing the crowds he has drawn to this capital city this week for his inauguration.
Senator,
Last night.
Thank you so much for your time. I'm sorry we're up against a hard break. I look forward to visiting with you again soon. Thanks for your great work.
Thanks for the opportunity.